Good afternoon, and welcome to our DNA Lunch and Learn webinar series event for May 17th, 2022. Today's webinar is titled 4 Ways to Go Paperless Now. And we're working with our friends at Altec who have a great product called DocLink, a complete document management solution integrated with many systems, Sage 300, Acumatica, which we obviously support. So today I'm lucky enough to have a couple of great presenters from Altec on the line with me. We have Tony Chokawanka.
Very good.
Wonka. Did I do it all right, Tony? Sorry, I should have practiced that more. I also have Igor Kras on the line with me. Tony is the sales director at Altec, and Igor is a sales engineer. Some of you may have met Igor at previous events when we could do in-person events. So I appreciate both of you taking the time today to go with the presentation. I want to let everybody know that we are recording this session and that we will be sharing the recording at the end of the webinar. And because of that, everybody's on mute except us presenters. So if you have any questions, there is a question window. If you need to chat with me during the presentation, there's also a chat there. We are going to have a couple of polls as we go through here, so please feel free to respond to the poll questions. Give us an idea of some of your thoughts about document management today. And without further ado, because we've got a lot to cover, I'm going to hand it over to you, Tony, and I can see your screen already. So if you want to just go from there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, and thanks everyone for taking the time to be with us today. As Will said, my name's Tony Chokawanka. I'm one of the sales directors at Altec, and Igor Kras, one of our top sales engineers, is going to be kind of halfway through the presentation, give you kind of a flavor of what DocLink actually looked like. Today, we want to give you kind of a high overview and hopefully stimulate some thought and maybe give you a couple of ideas that could help you with your process. 4 different ways to go paperless now is the name of the presentation, but really it could go in any direction that you want. One of the things that we're seeing in today's world is really that future of the remote workforce, where, you know, over the last few years, things have changed in our world, and accordingly, you know, we can see that the full-time worker really has gone to working full-time as far as remotely. 82% of these organizations really are allowing their employees to work remotely, and you know, 47% said they were going to allow them going forward, and really 43% giving them that flexible schedule. So what does that mean to all of us? That means even though we're doing our work remotely, which is great, we still need access to important documents. We still need to make sure things are running in a fluid method, regardless of if they're in the office and can walk around and get different things approved or find different documents. We want to give them that accessibility to those documents easily. So today's presentation, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, do you have that access to that critical data? How easy is it for you to get that information now? Is it in a filing cabinet someplace where, you know, only a few people can get to? Is it offsite storage? What access do we have? And it's kind of interesting. We always, especially in today's world, you know, just driving here to work today, I'm coming in and I'm thinking, oh shoot, you know what, I need to get a specialty type of tea that I like to drink. And so I was at the stoplight, so don't worry, I wasn't texting while driving. At the stoplight, I was able to quickly get information with Yelp and get that address and get to it very quickly. But a lot of times going into the office, I'm thinking, shoot, I need to get some key information. I got to wait till I get to the office before I can get to the machine to get to this. So again, these are things that constantly remind me that, you know, how can I get access to that critical information? So with that said, I think we're going to lead off with one of our first polling questions today, and just ask you out there, how are you storing your documents today? Are they on site in filing cabinets, or are they in an off-site storage facility like Iron Mountain that you have to get to for an audit? You have to somehow get off-site to be able to retrieve that? Is it a network file share, or is it some other type of way? So if you wouldn't mind just taking a second and clicking on A, B, C, or D for us, that would be great. And we'll
I'm going to launch it right now, Tony.
Awesome.
There we go. Everybody see the polls. Please choose one of the options. We'll give you a few seconds to answer these questions. And we'll see what our attendees today are interested in. All right, going once, going twice, closed. All right, so let me just share the results with that. Oh, so 100% of people, I guess most people are still using file cabinets. I still got one sitting here, so.
Interesting.
It is very common, for sure.
I have I work with a partner, and one of their customers in Oklahoma. I remember going in and walking into their office way back in the old days when you used to go see people face to face, and they had an office that was full of filing cabinets. I mean, completely full, and that's where they got all their information. So success story, we implemented DocLink, and maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, I went by and I thought I was in a different place, because all of a sudden I saw someone sitting in that office actually working, and it dawned on me that all the filing cabinets are gone and everything's now in DocLink. So
you know what? I don't mean to interrupt, Tony, but we had the same experience here. We had a client that was in they rented warehouse. They were a distribution company, and they rented warehouse space, and the warehouse had finite space in the back and finite space in the front, and they needed more staff, but 3 rooms in the front were filled with their filing cabinets. So we put in DocLink, and the next time I went to their office after we got DocLink in, and they went through the process of scanning all the documents in the filing cabinets, because that was their first step in the project. I went to somebody's office, and there was somebody else sitting there, and they said, "Oh, he's down at the end of the hall." And I went, "At the end of the hall? I never remember going in that room." We went in the room, and now it was an office with a window that used to be an office bending the floor with filing cabinets, and it worked great. And they eventually added the other features like AP automation and automatic emailing of sales documents back to clients and reps. It was great, but that was, they had no more space unless they were going to build onto the warehouse. So it worked out great for them. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, don't mind at all. And I guess the moral of the story is you guys aren't alone. And we have seen this, and it's something that we definitely can accommodate. And to Will's point, sure, it's great to have everything on one site, but being able to do much more than that is what DocLink really helps. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
For sure. Like, that was just the first step. They loved everything about it, but that they had one really urgent thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that said, ask yourself these type of questions. Does your current system require a lot of touching and moving and filing of documents? And typically, when you have filing cabinets, that's what you do. You got to know where everything's at. So, if you have that, that's something that needs to be addressed. Does your approval process, is it manual and efficient? To those examples, a lot of folks are still, putting it on someone's desk in their inbox or outbox or whatever it might be, and they have to wait for those approvals to happen. And a lot of times you're missing out on early pay discounts or having to deal with late fees, and just having that visibility is something that is a pain. And finally, are you spending a lot of time doing data entry? When an invoice comes in, are you going into your accounting system and Sage 300, whatever it might be, and having to do a lot of entry? And if you are doing these type of things, taking a look at DocLink is something that would be, well worth your while. And remember, today, what we're trying to do is just give you some ideas. At the end of it, at the conclusion, be able to call Will and the folks at the at DNA, schedule a demonstration, schedule some time where they could actually look at your specific situation and show how DocLink can help you. So again, throughout this process, think about things like that you'd want to see in a presentation specifically to your organization. So getting a little sidetracked, but really what I want to focus on today is we talked about remote workforce and being able to access these critical documents is something that we're going to need to get to. We'll show that. And second, efficient workflows, being able to route these documents, have an approval process that's really streamlined and can be handled no matter where you're at. And we'll talk about that process as well. The time and savings with reducing operational costs. Think about just some of the simple things, right? You don't have to have a filing cabinet anymore. You don't have to have as much paper around. Postage and whatnot starts to go away. And they may not seem like a lot, but all of a sudden you start adding that up along with just the efficiency that you'll have in having a solution like DocLink. The ROI really starts to become much more clear to people as they go forward. And finally, the business need of the visibility and security, thinking about where your documents are, making sure that they're safeguarded, and the ability to, in an audit situation, for example, to be able to pull up documents, see who's touched it, who's approved it, who's viewed it. All of these things are now available with DocLink, and they come standard with the solution. So really connecting, what could DocLink do? Really, our kind of mantra throughout our things is that we really want to connect people, process, data, everything we can to give you that competitive advantage as we talked about, being able to put it into a workflow, having things happen in an automated fashion, making your AP team be that much more efficient so they can do other things. And occasionally some customers want to combine let's say a purchase order with a packing slip and send that out to a customer or vendor for a quicker return, hopefully get that payment back quicker. So these are all things that DocLink can do natively. So again, I want to hit on another polling question. Again, this is something we like to keep you guys engaged. And what are your current business needs right now? Are you looking for access for your remote workers? Be more efficient workflows? Are you looking to reduce operational costs, divisibility, security, and compliance that we talked about? Which of those business needs are probably your biggest pain point right now? And let's open it up again and see how people respond to these polling questions.
All right, the poll is open. Please click on the option that most represents your business needs. We'll give you a few seconds here to respond, and we'll see, what kind of information people are offering back. All right. We'll see what we can get. We'll close back in just a second here. Going once. Going twice. Oh, I'm going to close the poll now. Oh, interesting. Let me share this. So again, people are trying to be more efficient. I see that. So I guess we've got people with the same type of business needs. And I do find this, a lot of people, there are a bunch, I guess, we might also have all of the above, but I think people are probably, I've gotten a lot of feedback, and all of these are key. I think over the last year and a half, people have figured out some remote stuff, but it's still an operational efficiency thing and getting stuff done that I've been getting feedback from. Tony, I don't know what you guys are seeing as well. Absolutely, and I think that's one of the beauties of DocLink is that it's a configurable tool. And that you don't have to, it's just not just out of the box, let's make it work
figure out how to work for you. We actually, and Igor is going to kind of show you a sample of a non-purchase order invoice as it comes in and just show you that workflow. But it's a configurable tool that allows you to create as many workflows as you want, that, and one that makes the most sense for you. So again, feel free to reach out to Will and the team to ask for a specific demo so you can see how it would work for your organization. So let's take a look at how DocLink works, and this is kind of a lead up to the actual demo. And as Igor goes through this, I want you to think about this slide. I want you to think about what happens with DocLink. DocLink is a repository. Now, it can either be in the cloud. We have a cloud offering. It could be on-prem. It just matters as far as what your cloud initiative is. But just think about DocLink as sitting as a repository. We're going to capture documents in all kinds of ways. If they're coming in by mail, and I just want to scan it and put it in there, I can. If we're leveraging OCR technology, which is optical character recognition, we can scan that. It will pull up off of the image, find certain fields, and be able to automatically index those documents for you. Some folks still use barcodes, or if it's coming in by email, whatever it is, we just want to get it into that repository where we can now put it through that process. We can put some automated routing rules on those documents. So for example, if it's an invoice that comes in and it's over a certain dollar value, I need to route it to maybe my CFO, because everything over $10,000 he needs to see. We have smart form utilization and giving you that ability to code that document ahead of time before it gets processed. And the way we do that is we're syncing with the ERP system, your accounting system. So when I am in the actual, anything that's in the repository, I'm actually using information from my ERP. So when I'm coding a document, I'm going off of information that I already have from the accounting system. And we'll show you that in the demonstration. We also want to make sure that, as I mentioned, if you want to push that out, we want to send that in an automated fashion and attach that invoice along with the PO and packing slip. That can be delivered as well. And finally, out of that repository, we're going to give you the ability to retrieve those documents any way you can. If I'm at work and I'm using our smart client, we can do that. If you're out on a vacation and you want to go into a browser, any browser, you can use our web client for that. Or if you're on the road and you have your mobile device, either iPad, Android, or iPhone, you can pull up information that way as well. So again, we really want to give you that ability to connect people, processes, and data throughout your interaction with DocLink. I mentioned a second ago is really that seamless integration, and that's one of the things we pride ourselves in with our ERP system. I know all of the Sage and Acumatica systems, we have built-in integration components, so that comes natively. We're not having to go build something. We're up to date with the latest that Sage has. They let us know when updates are coming, so we can see if it's going to affect anything within DocLink and be able to have that integration. The nice thing there is I can be in my ERP screen if I'm doing, for example, a voucher entry screen. I can be in there. My AP person can say, you know what, I wonder what that image looks like, or what invoice they're talking about. There's a view document button there that I can click on and open up DocLink and pull up that specific image. And the same thing as I mentioned, I can be inside DocLink looking at something, and when I code that document, it's pulling information from the accounting system. The beauty of there is that when I'm in DocLink doing that, I can code, I can do all these different things, and I'm not touching a Sage user license. That's completely separate. So again, that seamless integration is something that's critical for you going forward. So we're going to talk about that remote workforce and really talk about that process first, being able to get to that repository, as I mentioned, in any department. It doesn't necessarily have to be just AP. It could be, some of our folks like to store HR documents or contracts. We want to give you that easy access to those documents. Some of our folks that have contracts want to be able to pull up information that, let's say it's a contract that's 100 pages. I want to find just the pages that have the word Alltech in there. And we have that full text search capabilities that I can do that. HR documents that I want to be able to store all of my documents there, pull up a social security number and see every review that person's had, what their elections are, what their applications are, what certifications they have. So again, easy access to search and find those documents is critical. Being able to have that in one location and being able to sync that information is critical. And again, when Igor shows you his portion of the demo, you're going to be able to notice that easily. Minimizing that data entry. We want to be able to capture an index, and think about that when you're in the system and you're able to type in a purchase order, or when you have an invoice, you type in the purchase order number. It's going to be able to pull up and index all of the other information about that particular invoice. In other words, it's going to give you the vendor name, the vendor number. I don't have to fill in each and every one of those. If I'm using OCR technology, I can do that, scan it, and it's going to index that for me. Again, we want to take human error out of the equation. We want to make sure that we leverage current data within your ERP to help with that and really speed up that process for you. I always find it interesting, and Will and I have already given you kind of off the cuff customer examples, but we actually have a customer story that this customer, Pinder's Customs Brokerage, they wanted to eliminate paper. They wanted to make sure their office staff was much more efficient, and they really wanted to reduce the payments when it comes to early pay discounts. So with DocLink, they were able to get rid of paper completely. They didn't have to print, copy, scan. Everything was in one place. They created rules, triggers, alerts that everything was in that process, and the result was everyone is able to get to that in a digital manner. Being able to reallocate your staff to not necessarily bring on more staff to do the same AP challenges, but to actually reallocate them to do other things. I have another customer that came to me, and we were going through the process, and they came to me and they said, Tony, I just want to let you know, I was given the opportunity by management to hire another person in AP to handle this. And my thought was, you know what, why? I like my team. I don't want to add anyone else. Why not give my team tools to be able to be more efficient so I don't have to hire that additional person? Or if I do, I can put that person in a different part of the organization. So again, something that's common that we want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity. And this is always I always like to hear these type of things. Our people can instantaneously have all documents they need at their fingertips, whether they're in the office or working remotely. Again, just another success story for us. Efficient workflows, and I think this is where we're going to actually take this for our demonstration. I'm going to hand off to Igor in a second, but really routing documents and streamlining that process. Today, you know, a common process is where the AP team gets that invoice, they take a look at it, they route it to the appropriate person. DocLink's going to actually now route this, and Igor is going to show that to you. Import it into the ERP, be able to issue that, give you the ability to issue that payment, and from there be able to store, archive, and have a record of that within DocLink. So again, this is just kind of an overview, but I'm going to hand off to Igor at this point. Will, do you do that? Give Igor access to the controls and let him take it from here?
Yeah, I'm going to make Igor the presenter. There you go, Igor. You want to share your screen when you're ready there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a second. Sharing right now. Just let me know as soon as you can see it.
Nice big logo.
Okay, great. That's good. So as Tony mentioned, we do have a two-way integration. And to start, I actually would like to start with the interface familiar to everybody to demonstrate one of the capabilities of the two integration. And that's going to be probably the beginning and the end for some documents, because let's say if we're talking about purchase order documents, they're going to start in DocLink from the purchase order creation, right? And other documents like accounts payable, invoice are going to end up in Sage 300 ERP. If we're looking at, for example, the purchase order entry screen in Sage right there, this is my DocLink order entry screen. This is one of the integrated screens that we have in the system, and there are quite a few of them out there from where users can utilize documents view capabilities. Now, when I'm looking at this document, and I will initiate the auto login so it doesn't ask us again, I can go ahead and take past transactions or create a transaction, store document into DocLink, which is going to purchase order. And from there, I can access the document easily. So let's say I'm here and I can go ahead and take, for our example, I'll just take an existing purchase order number. For example, purchase order number 11 right there. So for example, this is my purchase order number 11 when you created it into the system. Upon posting this document right there, when you are posting it, you're effectively achieving two things at the same time. You are dropping the copy of the document into DocLink and of course posting the transaction. From that moment, you can use the view documents button on the bottom left right there. Let me kind of enlarge it just a little bit to be taken to that specific PO in a DocLink repository and potentially to other supporting document types. So when I hit the view documents, DocLink presents to me the PO itself, and if any action has been taken with it at any given time, we have right there on the top approval, denial, and information section from where we can see everything that happened to that PO, including, of course, if we go to the bottom, to the bottom right, I apologize, right there on the bottom right, we have an audit section where users can initiate the audit and of course see everything that ever happened to the document since the beginning of its creation. And this is one of the documents that starts its life in Sage, and creation of this purchase order potentially will bring us multiple documents that we need to process. Now, let me close out of here and I will show you the other point of integration that we have, and that's going to be integration to the non-PO side. And here, let's say if I'm going to my invoice entry screen, right there, we have DocLink invoice entry. Similar idea, this is where my non-PO invoices end. They end in this screen, and from here I can retrieve them. So if I go here and if I take any existing batches or existing transactions, so that's an invoice from Hard Batteries. Similarly, we have the View Documents button on the right there, in the left in the corner. And if I hit the View Documents, I'm also taken to documents associated with that transaction. So we have a Hard Batteries invoice. And this is only one point of integration. We, of course, push this transaction into Sage. And through today's discussion, we're going to have a look at how accounts payable cycle looks through the process and how the workflows look like as well. But as Tony mentioned, keep in mind, DocLink as a system, it is designed to accommodate storage, retrieval, and processing for any document types. Therefore, beyond IP is a very common step in use of DocLink for our customers. So let's have a look at how documents are onboarded into DocLink. Let's start from my favorite method, because we definitely would like to make sure that it is as easy as possible to get the documents into the system. So for any document, but IP specifically as well, we do recommend to use a generic box, which will be representing where your vendor is supposed to send you documents and from where we're going to automatically register and bring them into the workflow. In my case, of course, this is just my demo dummy box. It's called invoices@myaltech.com, but we recommend to every our customer to set up a generic AP box where only AP invoices arrive, or maybe then AR box, etc. So we can easily separate incoming invoices like this, for example, invoice from Chloride Systems, and bring that one into a workflow. The beauty of this process is that users don't need to participate in it. It is set up, and then it's working on the background without users' intervention. Scanning is still a thing. So if you like to scan something, that's still a possibility. So let's say I will take a PO and non-PO invoice on the left-hand side right there. And we'll pretend that they are paper. So somebody, they open an envelope, there are two invoices, they put them in the hopper scanner, they hit the scan button, and these two documents after that landed in the folder on the right. So we're effectively kind of simulating the scanning of somebody scanning the images, placing them in the folder from a scanner placing them in the folder. And from there, images are going to be picked up and brought into the workflow. So DocLink facilitating all of these steps and automation. Of course, there are other methods of registration. You can drag and drop images. You can use the web client as well. They are involving and they require users to manipulate images and attachments. Therefore, for production onboarding, these are the main two methods that are typically set up at the same time, and they coexist and coincide. But other methods are still there. You can still onboard methods, still onboard documents and other methods. Now, of course, as again, myself and Tony mentioned, we would like to make processing as easy as it can be. Therefore, to extract data of images, we apply OCR. So for example, this is my common queue of documents that are pending to be processed in the system. And there are batches with multiple invoices in them, like these in the middle, or the one that I submitted today that only has two documents right there on the top. But by the end of the day, DocLink forms for us a common queue of tasks that ought to be performed by individuals, by AP, etc. And what happens is that we do need to open a batch and address any kind of exceptions that might be on that said document. If there are no exceptions on a document, it's not going to land to be verified and validated because that step is going to be redundant. So let me open this batch that we had and let's process it. So for example, let's say this is our invoice and the profile was not assigned. So I will select this is non-PO invoice and that's it. And of course, let's say system wants me to teach and extract the due date right there on the image. There is no value, but we do have the due date on the image on the right-hand side, and this is where I'm going to go and pull the data off. And that's all I need to do. I just need to point and click on the value with my pointer like I'm pointing right now. And that's it. As soon as I click, it's going to populate the value on the right-hand side in the capture fields that I'm interested in. By doing this, system not only extracts the data, but also learning. Therefore, the next time you get the same invoice, you don't need to do this kind of changes again. Now, another thing that I would like you to keep in mind, OCR that we supply to our customers works based on artificial intelligence. It doesn't require creation of a template for every vendor or logic for every vendor. These things are non-existent at all. It's purely driven by artificial intelligence. And you just need to give us as many samples as you can. We're going to feed them to the AI. AI is going to learn. Or you can just point and click and system will learn from that as well. To demonstrate that specific functionality, let me show you how, let's say, we can teach the system to extract the table. In my case right now, if you look at the bottom, table details are populated. So everything came off the image nicely and it's parsed clearly. We don't need to do anything else. But if you pretend that it's not, let me delete the table details. Let's pretend the table was faulty, not extracted, etc. So I'll populate the first row of data. I selected item and I'll click item, description, quantity, price, and total. Done, right? I'm done with that. But now look at the values and how they're going to be populated as soon as I select the second item in the row. Presto, system populated the entire block of data by learning based on these selections. It's created the sequence for users automatically. This is how smart the system is. And this is what OCR does. It makes our life easier. It extracts the values for us so we don't have to do that. And after that, we can apply business rules such as three-way match, two-way match, duplicates detection, stuff like that. So let me submit this one and let's go ahead and look how this process looks in the workflow. So depending on who you are within a DocLink environment, you would be restricted to access only to what is allowed for you to see. And I have just a couple of profiles created here to demonstrate that, like AP, CFO, admin, IT, maybe different companies, company 1, 2, and 3. And of course, depending on depending on your login credentials, you will be able to perform only certain functions that are designated to you. I will be running the demo as admin to demonstrate you everything. Therefore, I'll be able to see and do everything I need through the system. Workflows in DocLink can be plenty. So I'm in the AP screen right now. So let me kind of form the list so we have less empty real estate here. So if you look at the list of workflows that I have, they go beyond accounts payable. I have my contracts, I have my expenses, I have purchasing, receiving, sales, etc. So this is kind of one of the very first testaments to true enterprise-wide nature of DocLink. When you store the document, DocLink can run a life cycle for that document or documents, and you can control it through the workflow that you can create. Workflows can be very flexible. They can be very branched or for example, very linear. My accounts payable workflow is fairly branched. It has a lot of statuses, kind of life cycle steps the document may need to undergo, including three-way matching, for example. But if we, let's say, if I switch the gears and go to my purchasing workflow, or actually, let me go to receiving, it's even easier. So my receiving workflow is a three-stage workflow: unprocessed, received in Sage, and removed from the workflow. Therefore, again, your process can be as linear and straightforward or as branched and complex as you need it to be, including multi-level approval. Through the screen right here, let me sort it by date. I'll hit apply, and I have a lot of documents. So let me sort them by date. So if you look at my list, I have some of the documents that require to be processed. And from this screen, users can preview by hitting on this kind of preview button. It's a small image right there, and you can see if you click on that one, you can preview the image to determine if you'd like to process that document or some other document. This is an invoice that we've gotten, etc. So we can do that from here. And if I open that image now, I can go ahead and create a distribution stamp and send this document for approval. So I can go ahead to my smart form, which is representing the GL distribution, and create the GL distribution form. That can be done in a couple of ways. First one is manual, meaning that I hit create on the left-hand side right there to start the creation of a distribution. The data will be populated based on what came from OCR, such as vendor name, total amounts, that kind of a detail, and any other variables that I would like to give. And then I need to add the GL distribution lines by hitting add. By adding the line, I'm kind of adding as many lines as I need. And of course, it can be multi-company, cross-company transactions. Every single magnifier that you see on the image right there is corresponding to a lookup directly into Sage database. So for example, either if you're looking at the vendor details right there, or if you're looking at the GL distribution, these are all lookups directly into the database. So these are the GL list from Sage 300. Or from other Sage products that we integrate to, same idea. Same goes to, for example, the vendor information. So this is vendor lookup. And this eases the process of coding and accessing the data due to two-way integration that we have. And of course, you can have as many GL lines as you want. You can assign them, then you can distribute them. Now, another method of creation of the distribution is use of templates. So let me cancel out of here. And I'm going to select the Chloride Systems template, which is right here. So I created the template, and just application of a template breaks it down into separate accounts, miscellaneous, investments, and what is left for me is assigning of variables such as the amounts. Now, as system is very smart, you can create correlation that vendor equals GL account correlation or other types of automatic codings if it exists, if specific vendors only coded to certain GL lines, or you can create different templates like I have here to also ease the process of coding based on vendor type. Like in my case, I have vendor specific templates right there on the top, or based on the bill type. It's a telephone bill, utility bill, let's say Verizon bill, stuff like that. Again, can be different type of a template. When the distribution is created, document is ready to be approved. And this is where a multitude of methods exist depending on the role and preferences of individuals who are doing the approval. So for example, I can approve and deny directly here. That's method number one. I can send an email to, let's say, Mr. CFO. So I'm going to route this one to be approved by Mr. CFO by selecting CFO from the list and send into their queue, right? In that case, Mr. CFO, and I'm going to be switching the head. I'm going to be switched from accounts payable to Mr. CFO, hit search. This is the list of documents pending, and multiple document types land on their desk. Requisitions, expense reports, AP invoices, all kinds of things. So here they can review through preview. For example, that's a requisition preview that they can do. Then they go to the expense report, then they can preview and also give their approval. And by doing this previews, they can then select multiple documents that they would like to approve and send them all to the approved for payment status. This is what we would call a bulk approval process. Now, if you don't want to log in into the system, you can use email approvers where, for example, users may get a summary report similar to this one you can see on the screen right now, indicating tasks for IT manager. So, hey, IT manager, you have X number of documents to approve. That's 5. And in that case, you can do a couple of things. You may just log in into DocLink as I did and go over your queue and approve documents. You may be getting notification like this, where you actually have a link attached. This is from one from the CFO request that we had a moment ago. And another method, that's my personal favorite, is have an image attached to the email like that. Of course, it has our coding and all of the details. We have basic data tokens about that invoice, and I have 4, but of course you can include more. And I have ability to approve and deny directly in the email. So again, very powerful tool with that respect, because I don't need to be logged in anywhere, and of course I can do it from my phone. So all of these tools give ability for users to issue approval and denial, review, and perform the workflow tasks from anywhere. As you can see, I was using the web client application. I just was using my login credentials. And if I hit approve here, even if I'm on the go, I can give my note saying, let's say, please pay as soon as possible, ASAP, and submit the note, and document move to the approved for payment status, ready to be paid. And this means that that invoice and others are batched together and pushed to Sage, to where we started, to the invoice entry screen. Now, depending on how your workflow is set up, you may have multi-level approval. And this will mean that instead of just finishing the life cycle, as soon as one person approves, the next person in line is going to get that email notification as well, or other methods of notifying them that they have tasks to perform. And as a last part of our discussion today, what I wanted to do is to show you quickly how search and retrieval is done in DocLink. One of the fundamental things that is very different between DocLink and other systems is that we do not use file folder storage, because it is kind of redundant. Even if you go after any kind of an invoice today, you know what you're looking for based on properties and document types. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have a couple of quick searches saved just to make it faster. For example, I'm looking for an accounts payable package of documents. It includes 3 document types: AP invoice, packing slip, and the purchase order. And the common denominator between these 3 document types ought to be, and I scroll down, they have to have the purchase order number 11. That's the common denominator. This is how I would like to retrieve them. And by hitting search, system will present me the selection that fits my criteria, the 3 documents, PO, packing slip, and the purchase order, and I can open those side by side. So as you can see, we went directly after the data. Let me put them in vertical tiles like this. 3 documents, PO, invoice, and the packing slip. So I went directly after the actual values of these documents. I don't need to go to a file folder cabinet. Similarly, we can retrieve documents based on other criteria. For example, show me all office supplies invoices. Now I have another criteria. My document type is still AP invoice. That's the search criteria that I use for the document type. But my denominator for the search has changed. If I scroll down, we'll find that now we're looking for 6,500 GL account. That's office supplies in my Sage 300 system. And when I hit search, similarly, I'm presented with a list of selections for that specific GL. Or let's say if there are multiple GLs, as we can see right there, we have a couple of those that have multiple GLs included. It says administrative expenses, but also office supplies is present on those. Now, another point of the search, and the last one that I would like to demonstrate, is going to be retrieval of the payment information as well. Now we have two document types, AP invoice. Right there we have the check, and the invoice number that I'm interested for payment details for is 212. That's my invoice number. And when I hit search here, I am retrieving two documents, check and AP invoice, and I can open those two side by side. And in a nutshell, this is what DocLink does. This is what DocLink is providing to our customers. And this is related to not only accounts payable, but to other document types as well. With that said, I will transfer this over back to Tony, and probably will open the floor for any other Q&A that you may have today. Thank you.
All right, Tony, do you want me to share your screen, or do you have some other stuff? No?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you, Igor. That was awesome. I know it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose here. Altech is a great solution. It has a lot of features. We just want to give you a little taste. So there we go, Tony. I see your screen.
Fantastic, and great job, Igor. And as you can tell with his presentation, there's a lot of ins and outs there, and hopefully some of you were taking some notes and saying, gosh, I wonder if this would work for us. Again, feel free to reach out to Will and the DNA team to schedule some time to talk with us and have a demonstration specifically for you. But you know, just finishing up a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. And a lot of times when we come from these type of meetings, it's like, yeah, this is great, but how can I, you know, what are more tools that I can talk to management about as far as savings and whatnot? And here's a couple of ideas I thought were of interest. And when you think about, you know, being able to look at return of investments, you look at, this is something that we got from PricewaterhouseCoopers a while back, but the cost of filing a document costs about $20. And we're taking in all the other factors as far as that person's time and whatnot. $100 to retrieve a document, to go actually and find that document, and $220 to actually recreate that document. Again, just something to take into consideration when you're going forward. So in that AP area, what has been some of the changes? This is another source called Ardent Partners, and the cost of traditionally to process a single invoice, all inclusive in costs, is about $15.38. Doing it with DocLink or using an AP automation tool reduces that down to $2.87. And processing that really is reduced as well. You can see that pretty staggering when you're looking at, you know, 17.1 days versus 3.9. Again, these are an average. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but think about these percentages when it comes to your organization and how people can take advantage of this to help them be more efficient. And here's another case study that we had where this particular company, Thornburg Investment Management, they had a growth spurt, 15% year after year growth, and they had too many documents that they needed to process, store, and they needed to add additional staff. So by putting in DocLink, they were able to see that ROI in about 9 months. They saved about $40,000 not having to hire any more staff, considering staff, insurance, and whatnot. And here's another one with AAA, being able to having multiple departments and the ability to now find documents easy for audit. So I have a customer in Arkansas that came to me and said, Tony, you should talk about this up front when it comes to audits. You know, having everything, think about it, having everything in DocLink, when that auditor comes, being able to not have to go to filing cabinets or offsite storage or find all the documents that you need, being able to have it all in one place, get the date range that the auditor gives you, the document types they give you, download that into one file drive, and being able to share that with them. This customer in Arkansas came to me and said, you should leave that. I had all of that for my auditor. When they came in, I just put that, saved it, put it on, they had a little bit of DocLink. I put it on the computer. They sat in the conference office, and they were able to save me about 50 hours on my audit from the year before. And again, just real easy. By having things as Igor showed in an automated fashion, being able to be sent out, saved $11,000 in just postage for that period of time, and really reduce the amount of processing time considerably going forward. So everything is great, but what about that security? What about that compliance capabilities? And again, we want to make sure that we give you the ability to monitor those workflow sets. This is great, Tony. We have everything in place, but what about all of a sudden still things aren't happening? What's going on? Well, you know what? With our workflow statuses, I can take a look and see where is that bottleneck? Who hasn't approved a document? Actually, you know what? That guy's been out for 2 weeks, so why don't we reassign that to somebody else so they can take care of it? Managing the audit trails. Who's touched it? Who has seen the document? Again, giving you that full visibility of anyone that's touched the document, approved it, made notes. It's all there for you. Improving your financial reporting. Again, being able to generate monthly reports like past due, paid, anything in process. These are all being able to view when you're not in your ERP system. And finally, just that ability to streamline that intercompany accounting, regardless of the multiple locations or regardless of multiple departments that you might have. So that security at the company level, department, all the way down to the property value, we can limit what anyone can see. So at Alltech, we have DocLink, and I'm able to see just contracts. I don't need to see financials, invoices, and whatnot. I can reduce it down to what, or I should say, our admin can reduce it to what I as a salesperson can see, all the way down to the property values, even document type, whatever it might be. So again, giving that security is something that's critical as well. I mentioned this, giving auditors that access, just real simple, being able to give them that sophisticated reports. They don't have to hunt down documents. It's all right there for them. This is I talked about it for my customer, they were able to save. This was actually a customer that came in and said, you know what, we couldn't find everything, and we had to pay $100,000 in penalty from our sales tax audit. Next year, they implemented DocLink, and when they got audited, that wasn't an issue. They didn't have to pay that fine because everything was easy and accessible for them going forward. So how can DocLink impact everyone in your organization? Today, we focused on AP, but hopefully you had some light bulb moments. Hopefully you were able to see that other areas, maybe it's an AP automation beyond a three-way matching, is something that is interesting to you. I mentioned about HR, legal type of documents, sales order processes. DocLink can help in many different areas. We often start with areas like AP because that's where the biggest paper problems typically lie. So again, think about other areas. DocLink can definitely start in one area, can start in AP, but over time be able to grow to help out the HR team, be able to help the legal area where we can now leverage DocuSign integration to be able to have those legal contracts all in one place, being able to monitor those expirations. So if a contract's expiring at the beginning of the year, I can send a note to Igor saying, hey, in 30 days, this is going to expire. Do what you need to do to make sure that it gets renewed. So again, think about other areas that DocLink can help you in. So why DocLink? Well, obviously, working with DNA is one of the main reasons. We are in the Sage world. We're a Sage-endorsed product with them. It's a world-class product. We have rapid implementation. We work closely with you and your team to make sure we do that. And then finally, just that outstanding customer support, being able to know that once you purchase it, we want to make sure you're a happy customer, being able to support you, and someday being able to hopefully be a reference for DocLink going forward. So Will, we're going to finish up with our final polling question. And thanks all of you for attending, being part of it. But what did you learn from today's webinar? Was it that DocLink provides capabilities for in-office as well as remote workers? DocLink has a tight integration with your ERP. DocLink works across many departments. Or finally, I'm assuming 100% people will click on this one. We could use this, ready to learn more, and contact me. But anyway,
launch the poll here.
Okay.
We'll let people put in their responses here as we go forward. See if we can get some answers here, get some responses in. And okay, going once, going twice, gone. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, it's you know, like I said before, there's probably a lot of reasons, but you know, people always think about it, I think, Tony, as connected to their ERP. But there's the great thing about DocLink that I've seen in the past is it doesn't have to be ERP type documents. Certainly the integration is bar none the best, and to Sage 300 or as we you know, I'll mention here in a minute, Acumatica, it's a new product we're now offering, can link to that. But there's so many other documents and processes, whether using the web forms or just some other document management. It could be HR, I think Igor mentioned that, and you know, it could be anything. You know, there's a lot of things to think about, and that's really the other thing where DocLink shines, is just about doing anything. So we'll get in contact with those people, and if you want to wrap it up there, we're almost at time.
Yeah, and again, here's the information. Once again, if you want to have a follow-up and have a demonstration done for you specifically, feel free to contact Will and the team. There's the information there. And with that, I appreciate everyone's time today.
Yeah, just got a couple of questions here, Tony. I'm gonna
yeah, please do.
One was I just kind of answered, what if we have workflow documents outside of accounting, and absolutely, DocLink can address that, and that's been key. Sometimes that's the bigger issue that people are dealing with, and you know, and then they are, you know, trying to you know, the other things are not their primary. They're dealing with some other type of document, but they know the benefit of having LTech in, because they can also solve the next three biggest problems, like AP or sales, managing the sales documentation side, or getting approvals and that sort of thing. So I'll answer that one. The next one, is DocLink a cloud system?
DocLink we have our DocLink cloud, absolutely. So we try to accommodate everyone's scenario. If it's if you want to have it in the DocLink cloud, we can do that for you. If you want to have it on-prem, we can do that as well. So again, whatever scenario you have, we'll be able to take care of for you.
All right. The last one here was, do you have to buy the full package, or can you start with certain areas and then add on?
Great question. That's the nice thing about DocLink, is it's very modular based. So you can purchase what you need up front. A lot of times we have customers that like to do things in phases. They want to, you know, get going, get using it first, being able to store documents, and then down the road be able to add some of the additional functionality. So very much a modular priced system that, again, contact Will and the team and be happy to put together a preliminary quote for you based on what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen just so everybody knows what's coming up next. If you can bear with me here. Where did I put it here? There we go. So our next event is on May 25th, and it's about transforming your business. Using, like I mentioned, a new product we're offering with Sage 300 is still a great product, as always. Most our clients are been running on that many years. It's a great investment, but we are getting requests for a cloud-based solution. So I encourage anybody that is looking at that, and we know our clients are asking about it. So come to this event and hear about Acumatica. And again, it does work with Altec. So whatever investment you make, Altec protects you on that. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for your time. If you have questions about what you've seen today from Altec, please give us a ring, sales@da.ca, or call the office. We will be sending out the recording in a day or so. Thank you very much, Igor and Tony, for all the information. It's been a little while since we've shown some of the newer features in Altec, but give us a ring. We'll get the team at Altec involved. We've got a lot of knowledge on the product and ways that it might be able to help you. So we're happy to chat. Okay, well, thank you. We're a little bit over time, but I appreciate everybody sticking with us, and hope you all have a great day. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.